Hello, everyone. My name is Andrea Smith, and I am here with Dr. Darius McDougle. He is the CMO over at Purewave Life, and we're going to talk a little bit of marketing today. I'm really looking forward to gathering some insight and hearing his perspective on a lot of things. And so, with no further ado, thank you so much, Dr. McDougle, for being here with me today.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much. So first, can you kind of just walk me through your role as CMO, and what you do, kind of what your day to day looks like?
Yeah. So Purewave Life and also like Purewave Technology is a health tech company. It's based here in Florida, but it is a global brand. We
Okay.
work with, everything from your regular everyday person to celebrities to royalty to our military to professional athletes,
Wow.
supporting their cellular optimization and overall improving their wellness and well-being. Right. And so for
Okay.
my role as chief marketing and operations officer here at the organization, my day entails a lot. I'm
Okay.
overseeing just everything that's in the development and branding phase of our business, as well as identifying opportunities, strategic partnerships, enterprise level organizations, working with our partners, also on the operations side. Right. So
Okay.
really working hand in hand with identifying what's needed for commercial aspects of the business. Right. So properties that we're a part of, the manufacturing aspects of our business, working hand in hand with our CEO,
Okay.
as well as our research and development team. What we do here is at the cutting edge of scientific advancement in improving not only longevity, but also, again, overall wellness and stability of the human body. So this is one of the most interesting and fascinating businesses I've had the pleasure of being part of. And with my
Wow.
background, it says a lot. Just to give you more detail into that, I've
Yes.
worked with everything from small business to Fortune 50. I've
Okay.
worked on projects supporting Google with their Nest product, Samsung with their wearable devices, Humana, Aetna, Tommy Bahama. The list can go on. It's been
Yeah.
completely a blessing. And out of all the organizations that I've had the pleasure of either collaborating with, working with, supporting marketing initiatives, business endeavors, etc., this by far is at the top of the list
Wow. Wow.
here at PureWave. Yeah,
That says a
absolutely.
lot. And I'm assuming that's because it means something more to you.
Well, when it comes to helping and healing, these are things that are vastly important to me.
Yeah.
So, many businesses sit and generate revenue at extreme levels. When you look at my background, I've been able to drive over $27 billion in impact
Wow.
revenue. But outside of making money, what does your business do? Do you
Exactly.
actually help people? Right. And that's really
Yeah.
what one of the most important things we need to be focusing on is what are we doing for one another? Right. And when
Wow.
you look at that from that particular lens, the amount of lives that have been changed by Pure Wave is incredible.
Wow. That is amazing, amazing. And I know you've been in the marketing game for a long time. You have extensive experience, and I know you've seen the landscape kind of change and evolve. So tell me, what is it that has stayed consistent for you about how you approach marketing?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, what stays consistent is marketing. The core of it and the crux of what has to be done is advertising. You
Hmm.
have to be able to present your product or solution in a media format where you're touching individuals and in a way where they're not only going to recognize your brand, but also trust the brand that it's going to do what it claims that it can do.
Right.
Right. You know, the consistency is that, the media, the format, where the advertising is at is continuing to evolve. But the core of it always is, can you convey a story that will elicit a response that drives the outcome that the business needs?
Right. Right. So it sounds like, can you express what you offer in a way that connects to people so they actually feel like this is for me, this is relevant for me?
Has to be. Yeah, every time. So marketing in that, over the last 20 plus years, it's been that, it stays that. This is what is going to be needed to consistently drive, that type of result.
Right, great. So I'm glad you said that. So in your experience, I know you've been with a lot of organizations. What is it within an organization that you would say it has to be this, you have to have this in place in order to see those results? And where do you see organizations fail at that?
Great two-part question. I'll start with the latter, and then I'll go back to the first.
Okay.
Where businesses fail when it comes to marketing, it's twofold. It's one, they don't have a realistic budget for the results that they want, and they lack the creativity to be able to support that vision. And then
Okay.
I'll add another layer. And this is a tough one to swallow. Their product or their service is not that great.
Okay.
You have to call it what it is. And so the marketer's job is to really give the product or the service the ability to be able to stand on its own, right?
Right.
It's to get the most amount of people, or and the right people, the most right people, I'll say, to be able to lay hands on, so to speak, the product or service for themselves. And then it has to be a good experience, right? And that's a part of the rest of the organization, right? The operations and all the other departments that support the business. It has to be a good solution. If it's not, marketing has their hands tied, because what makes marketing really thrive is having a good product or solution.
Right.
That's what a marketer wants. But a marketer's dream is to be able to have a great product or solution / service that they're able to market, right? Because that takes one of the hardest things out of the equation. And for many of us in marketing, the challenge has been trying to market a product that's not that great. You have terrible reviews, and you're having to work on reputation management and et cetera, because you have something that you're trying to sell that's not as good as it needs to be. The other pieces to that is, when you have a great product, you're probably surrounded by so-so level products or services that potentially have huge marketing budgets.
Yeah.
So you're competing against money at that point. And if your business isn't ready or able to be able to leverage the type of revenue that it takes to get in front of that audience, and then convince that audience to try this out, you're in a tough place.
Yeah.
And I'll add another layer.
Okay.
I'll add another layer, because this one is important as well. You can have a great product, you can have great marketing, but if your pricing is terrible, oof,
Yeah.
right? And pricing is one of those things where it's really perceived value. So even if you have a great product, if the perceived value of that product or solution, service, right, is not as great, well, it's a tough one to sell.
Yeah.
Right. So an example of that, an organization from my past, they had a product that was, one of the better ones on the market, but not drastically better. Right.
Right.
And they were 3 times the price of their closest competitors that were maybe just a little bit less as solid. When people in the know are trying to compare, it's tough to market. Right. Because at the end of the day, they're like, well, that price.
Yeah, exactly.
We've seen both, where we've looked at apples to apples. This doesn't make sense. Why can I go to this grocery store and get an apple for $1 or change, and I can go to another grocery store and still get an apple for $5 and $6 here in South Florida, the grocery stores, there's some of them where a single apple is $6.
Yeah.
So
Crazy.
how do you market that? You're gonna have your work cut out for you. It's still an apple, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's tough. But yeah, those are some of the areas that I've seen as far as like what makes it a challenge. Now, what do you need for it to be successful?
Okay.
Right. I think that was the first part of the question. What do you need to ensure you have what it takes to market well?
Yes.
Well, what I'll say is you really need a good team around you.
Okay.
Right. So generally, as marketers, we are specialists. A lot of us, depending on where you're at. Myself, I've had to really become an expert in all areas just throughout my career.
Right.
So I've had it where I was a team of one. I've had it where I was, part of a team of 50 plus, right? Around 50 direct reports.
Right.
So you have to be good at everything, really. And so a good team around you is part of what you need to be successful, right?
Right.
And your team doesn't always have to just be your marketing team.
Okay.
This is really, really one thing to put in your pocket is that you need folks in the surrounding departments to be good team players, folks that know how to work in unison for the benefit of the organization,
Right.
folks that are team-minded, right, and that they're looking at the overall business outcomes. That's part of it.
Right.
As mentioned, the way you can fail, the way you win is having a realistic budget in your division. So in marketing, if the goal or the KPI is to increase sales by 100%, you really need to look at what your budget is to be able to do that, and then reverse engineer and talk through. Okay, what's the cost to get a client? What's a realistic cost for a sales qualified lead, for a marketing qualified lead, then a lead?
Right.
Now, from that metric, can we determine that the budget that we have can produce that, right? And then we need to also look at allowing marketing to truly be the marketers in the room. Oftentimes, when you're in a business, everyone believes they're marketing professionals. You've got the IT team trying to tell you, you really need to do this. You got accounting saying, hey, I saw a marketing ad that did this. Why aren't we doing this? You have business development telling you. So marketing is one of the few areas where everyone's got an opinion, right? Nobody tells the CFO how to balance the books, right? They just trust that he knows what he's doing, or she, right? And so with marketing, that's not how it goes. But when you're a part of a business that understands that this team is a dedicated team to do X, Y, and Z, and they let you do X, Y, and Z, you're in a better position for success.
Right.
The next thing that you need to have as a marketing professional to be able to be successful in your role is creativity. Everyone can look at data and know what the data means. You can ask AI, what does this data mean? And you can get some fair answers. Yeah. But when you get down to creativity on what makes you different than the next, because here's the quintessential component. Everyone can ask an AI platform, give me a strategy, give me a this, give me a design. And because the artificial intelligence or even synthetic intelligence is able to basically use a shared mind, you're getting the same across all of the different networks, organizations, etc. Right? You're not getting, there's not a billion different AIs. Like, it's all using the same tech. So that's why everybody's strategies are starting to look the same. That's why everyone's tactics are starting to look the same, because they're all using AI. So this is why you as a marketer have to develop your creative muscle, right? You as an artist, that's how you can look at it, because marketers have to be artists. You have to think outside of the box. You have to create concepts that no one else would think about. You are an artist. And
Right.
so if you leverage that in a way that is beyond what other people can do, you will be successful.
Yeah. Wow. And so, do you think, since we're talking about AI and all of that, do you feel like the creativity is the thing like that? If you had to say one thing that marketers today you absolutely need to have, would it be that creative aspect? Because that's something only humans can bring. So, could you speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, the summation of AI is basically things that people have already done or said.
Yeah.
That's the crux of it. So to step inside of a lane where you're using creativity and imagination that is untapped. So as a marketer, for you to really stand out in the sea of other people that are trying to do what you do, and also people were not educated in this, who've never done this, who also believe they know what to do,
Yeah.
your ability to translate imagination into real world application is what's going to set you apart.
Gotcha. And do you feel like that has to, I think we're also up against speed and time, so the ability to be
Of
able to
course.
be creative quickly. Like you gotta.
Well, what I'll say to this, everyone wants speed and traction, and that's also another reason why businesses fail. When you're trying to rush to get to your first billion, you miss so many things.
Yeah.
When you are trying to beat everyone else because of speed, you lose. The tortoise beat the hare for a
Yeah.
reason. And so, yes, speed is great, but accuracy is better. You need to be efficient and effective at what you do. And so just because we can pump out 1,000 ad units through an AI tool, and you can leverage the data to tell you these are the ones that are the top performers, but do you have sight beyond data? And that's what AI doesn't have.
I love
And
that.
this is something I've coined as one of my own personal phrases: is sight beyond data.
I love that.
One of the examples that I'll give you is there was a campaign, even in my own career, and what was going on was we had a campaign running. The end result was a phone call, and no one was picking up the phone from all these leads, and they were like, "Go! All these leads have to be trash. These must not be real people, right?"
Yeah.
And what we found was that the outbound number that was going out, it said things like "Pet Boys" when on the caller ID, and we were a pet company.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so Pet Boys was showing up on so many people's phones, and nobody was answering. I don't know what's wrong with Pet Boys, but nobody was answering from Pet Boys, right? And so, this you wouldn't find in your data set,
Right.
right? It took some ingenuity, some thinking, let's do some additional tests. Let's try some additional. And we started looking at, okay, call my phone from this and do this and do that. And we started seeing a pattern. It was like, out of the phones we tested in-house, like 8 out of 10 of them, or 7 out of 10, it was like Pet Boys was showing up.
Wow.
And so we changed out all the numbers. We upgraded. We were like, okay, don't give us, any of these type of numbers. Give us these type. And we were like, okay, we need a caller ID to show as our company. And this was this. We started really working to make sure that's what was coming through. And we did tests to make sure. It took time.
Yeah.
But what I'll tell you is, even when we went back to those same leads that now were cold, the uptick in conversion rate through the roof.
Wow.
Through the roof. So a campaign that was being requested to be trashed, they were like, no. They're like, show it, the data. And I'm like, no, we got to look beyond. Sometimes we got to look beyond. we can't assume. We have to understand, like, this doesn't make sense. But the
Yeah.
data shows, it's like, yeah, but you got to also use your intelligence, not just the artificial one.
Yes.
And so, the artificial one won't tell you that. It's going to tell you
Right.
this is a terrible campaign, scrap it immediately. Right? It's going to tell you to retest and retest. So if you think about that, you then say, okay, how many campaigns where there are potential items like this potentially have existed, and they're just spending money, not able to, and the AI is just like, nope, you need to change this, you need to change that. You might have already had a golden campaign, but there was an area outside of your traditional logic that didn't necessarily convey that.
Yeah.
So sight beyond data is something that, as marketers, we all have to be able to get this into our frameworks.
Yeah. I love that. And that speaks to the idea that in a world of AI, you still need people. Like, I don't know that people will ever be, indispensable. But so that's great. I love that sight beyond AI. Last question. For someone like me who is just entering into the marketing world, or even someone who's trying to progress in marketing, what tips, what advice, wisdom overall do you have?
Yeah. What I'll tell you as a student, as somebody who's growing in marketing, trying to learn more about the space of the field, um, reading and doing is going to be some of the trends or the needs that you need to have. What I'll say, following the trends is not always great, but do, right? Test, learn by trial and error in some ways, right? Because not everything that you read, not every book that a marketer says this is the way is truly the way, right? Because most marketers, they've not had to do things either with a small budget, and some of them have had to do it with a large budget.
Yeah.
And, what I'll say is campaigns that work on a real modest budget, can you scale that? Right? It's like, and so that's the other difference. So you might have had some amazing success with a business that was, in a $1 million company. I mean, look, I've scaled multiple businesses to, $2 million, $3 million. But have you ever scaled it to $1 billion? Have you scaled it to 10? Then from $1 million, now you can say that you have a proven system. If your proven system only works for this, but it can't work for that, is it truly a proven system? Maybe not. So you can't always follow, all of these influencers and so-called thought leaders, because they don't necessarily have the full breadth of knowledge to speak to what they're actually saying. So trial and error is going to help you more than even some of these books. Really getting in and understanding the psychology of people, really getting to the thinking, understanding different demographics, right? So it's like, you've done this in this area, but have you done this across multiple demos, right? Multiple geographies. Have you done this globally or only in the United States? So the way you're going to get more ways to test your skills and to build them, companies are already looking for people who've done this. So the way that you can bypass it, there's nonprofit organizations that are always looking for help, and usually small budgets, if any budget. This makes you have to really figure out how to be creative, right? That's what we talked about in the beginning. This is going to push that muscle. How can I, in a nonprofit that you have a passion for, right? One of mine is Lighthouse for the Blind. Because you're dealing with people who are visually impaired and blind. There's one here in Palm Beach County that does amazing work, right?
Okay.
And so when you can help these types of businesses that are literally helping people who can't either help themselves or have things that are really impacting their life, it's satisfying, one, to be able to support them, but two, it gives you a foundation of how you can really push.
Right.
The other one, if you're unable to necessarily find solid orgs locally, you can utilize platforms like Catch a Fire. I think it's catchafire.org.
Okay.
And they have organizations, I think, globally, and they're all nonprofits, all people trying to help people. And they have, basically it's all just like RFPs, right? So
Right.
request for proposal,
Mm-hmm.
where they're looking for someone who will help them, right?
Yeah.
Pro bono,
Mm-hmm.
but it will give you experience. So if you have multiple projects going, you will fine tune your craft by working with so many different organizations, and you as a newer marketer can put all that experience on a resume and say, hey, I've worked with this company, this company, this company, and these are the things I was able to accomplish. And
Right.
now in a short period of time, you have project-based experience and, more full-time, even depending on, how your schedule works out, et cetera, to really support these types of brands.
Wow. That is great. That's great advice. Awesome. I love that. And I think a lot of times as new and even as me, like I'm in the job market right now, but like you said, a lot of people want you to have that experience. But the thought of, volunteering services to nonprofits or the other organizations, that's great. Awesome. Dr. McDougle, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. I appreciate this conversation. This has been great. I have gained so much in such little time. Just thank you for, like I said, volunteering your time just to sit with me for a minute. I really appreciate that.
Absolutely. Been my pleasure.